Some big wins in SEC Week 7 for Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and others. We'll award our winners and losers coming out of Week 7. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers who are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And now featured on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, broadcasting daily across Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and of course on YouTube. So if you're one of those states, check us out on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, we always do it coming out of the weekend. On a Monday, we give away our winners and losers of the weekend. Obviously, not just the teams that won. Players, coaches, individuals that we're calling a winner or we're calling a loser. And we have plenty in both categories. So let's start with the positive side on this Monday. Let's start with the winners. And we'll start with Ty Simpson coming out of Alabama. Big plays with pressure in his face, some big throws on third and fourth downs. I continue to just be massively impressed by Ty Simpson's play this year. This week, 23 of 31 for 200 yards, 3 touchdown passes, no picks, kept some plays alive with his feet when he needed to, and he led Alabama to their 5th straight win, 3rd straight win over an SEC-ranked opponent, and the win snapped Mizzou's 15-game home win streak, which is second longest in the nation. Ty Simpson converting a huge 4th and 8 to Latsier Brooks, another one of 4th and goal for a touchdown. He is right there atop the SEC with 16 touchdown passes, just the 1 pick. His quarterback rating is tops in the SEC, and he was leading the SEC in passing, just 2 yards behind Joey Aguilar now, but right up there, number 1 in most passing statistical categories in the SEC. Ty Simpson, pretty darn impressive to start the season for Alabama, and they just keep rolling, man. I mean, a few more of these, and they're playoff bound if they keep this up. All right, another winner of the weekend. Shout out to the Texas defense. Just a week after giving up 29 points and over 450 yards of offense to Florida, the Texas defense clamped down in an all-important rivalry game against Oklahoma, holding them to just 258 yards of offense, shutting down John Mateer, and keeping the Sooners out of the end zone. Texas also had 3 interceptions in this one, Malik Muhammad with 2 of them, Grayson Littleton with another. They sacked John Mateer 5 times, led by Colin Simmons, the disruptor, who had 2.5 sacks himself. And the Longhorns, number 3 in the country now in points allowed. Ironically, they're right behind Oklahoma. They're 11th in yards allowed, and a chance for them to really get some momentum going. They're going to face a South Carolina team this coming weekend that is struggling with their offensive line. So if they can tackle LaNorris Sellers, this defense might continue to roll. But shout out to Texas defense. We berated them after what DJ Lagway did to them 2 weeks ago, but they responded in a big way. How about another winner of the weekend? I'm going to go with the Georgia defense. The Georgia Bulldogs forcing a fumble at the goal line in the second quarter that swung the momentum completely in their favor as they went on to beat Auburn on the Plains 20-10. CJ Allen knocking the ball out of the hands of Jackson Arnold. Georgia held Auburn to just 50 total yards in the second half. Auburn with 278 yards on the night. But Georgia's defense making the plays. And look, we've kind of said this the last couple of weeks. This isn't Kirby's best defense he's ever had. This might be the weakest defense he's had in the last couple of years at Georgia. Well, they have a game like that, a second half like that, they might start building the confidence up to get this thing really going again and looking like a hallmark Georgia defense. Kirby Smart's so excited after the game, jumping up on a table, getting all the Georgia fans that were at Auburn excited. And next up, they will host unbeaten and 4th-ranked Ole Miss coming up this Saturday. We'll see what the Georgia defense is really made of, but shout out to them. They got it done. Look, Hugh Freeze and Auburn play calling partly to blame, but Georgia's defense got it done when they needed to. How about another winner of the weekend? I'm going to go with DeSean Bishop, the Tennessee running back. 14 carries, 146 yards, and a touchdown as Tennessee held off the feisty Bobby Petrino Arkansas Razorbacks for a 34-31 win. Bishop averaged over 10 yards per carry in this one. Did get banged up late in the game, left with just a few minutes left, so I'll wait to see his health. But DeSean Bishop, now 5th in the SEC in rushing yards. Him with Star Thomas, Peyton Lewis, they've turned into a nice three-headed backfield as the Vols rush for 273 on the night. Tennessee 4th in total offense per game behind just Texas Tech, USC, and Florida State. And next up, the all-important game against Alabama for Tennessee. But DeSean Bishop, really, really great performance. Arkansas could not bring him down. Another winner of the weekend, we head over to Death Valley as Trey'Dez Green, tight end / wide receiver / just physical freak. 8 catches for 119 yards and a touchdown. Big-time athlete. You could see his basketball skills out there, being 6'7". Brian Kelly saying after their win over South Carolina, clearly he is a mismatch. He's a unique talent, and we need to continue to feature him in our offense. Trey'Dez Green received a game ball. He said he has largely recovered from that knee injury that happened in LSU's home opener. Green saying after the game, see ball, get ball. I feel like versus anybody in one-on-one coverage, I'm going to take myself every time. I go get the ball like a rebound. I box the defender out. He went on to say, I feel like I'm still not all the way healthy yet. I'd say I'm at about 80% right now, but I feel like I got a chance to be 100% for Vanderbilt. Once I got that first catch in this game, it was all go. Trey'Dez Green, just a physical freak of a matchup. And yeah, good luck covering him one-on-one. We saw it in the bowl game against Baylor, the Texas Bowl. They went to him like every time they got in the red zone. And LSU starting to showcase him a little bit more. He was healthy, missed some time. But this could be Garrett Nussmeier's big-time goal line threat. Keep an eye on Trey'Dez Green. Also, a shout out to LSU's defense on this one. 5 sacks, an interception, a fumble recovery. Number 5 in points allowed per game. Next up, a tough road trip to Vanderbilt for LSU. Another winner of the weekend, I've got Texas A&M's defense. 3rd straight game where they have looked like the best part of Texas A&M. Their 3rd straight home SEC game. They beat Florida 34-17. They gave up 2 early touchdown drives to Florida, but after that first quarter, held them to just 3 points the rest of the game. Shut them out in the second quarter, shut them out in the fourth quarter, held DJ Lagway and company to just 319 yards of total offense, just 74 yards rushing. They had 3 sacks. And, man, I spent all last week gushing over the big Florida 5-star receiver Dallas Wilson. Had some early success in this one. Remember last week 2 weeks ago against Texas, he had 111 yards receiving. This week, held to just 3 catches for 20 yards. Did have a touchdown, but all that was early. He could not get open. They could not get him the ball. So shout out to Texas A&M's defense. They're going to go on the road now, and we're going to really find out what this A&M team is all about. But they held serve. Last 3 weeks against SEC opponents, their defense dominated against Auburn, against Florida, against Mississippi State. So we'll see what they are made of. All right, not so much a winner, but we'd like to always give an honorable mention if there's somebody we think deserves some kudos in a loss. And I'm going to put Bobby Petrino in here. Went into Knoxville, put up 500 yards of offense on Tennessee. Defense just couldn't get a stop late. They fall 34-31. An encouraging effort for an Arkansas team that just fired Sam Pittman. And yes, the Hogs dropped to 2-4 overall, 0-2 in the SEC. But to me, good to see them still putting up a fight and not quitting. That is going to go a long way. We'll see if Arkansas can pull off an upset or two before this season ends. Of course, Bobby Petrino trying to get that job full-time for Arkansas. Again, would have been nice to pull out the win, but heck of an effort from the Hogs in Knoxville. All right, thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Coming up next, we'll get to our losers of the weekend. That's coming your way here in just a second. Hey, but first, this episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. Those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it is about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep moving the game forward. And this week's moment that moved the game forward, I'm going with Ty Simpson and what he did against Mizzou. I mentioned it already, 3 touchdown passes, but completed that monster pass on 4th down that kept the drive alive, and then another one on 4th down at the goal line for a touchdown. 1,600 passing yards now in the season, 16 touchdowns, just the 1 INT. Ty Simpson continues to move his game forward and Alabama's game forward, just like Mazda. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning, and just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. It is Mazda. Move and be moved. All right, roll along here, Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. We gave you our winners of the weekend. Now let's get to our losers of the weekend, who really sucked it up over the weekend. And we got to start nowhere better than with Hugh Freeze, as Auburn jumped out to a 10-0 home lead against Georgia. It looked like they were going to punch it in and take a 17-0 first half lead, but the refs ruled a Jackson Arnold goal line fumble, and momentum swung towards Georgia, and Auburn never scored another point in this game as they went on to lose 20-10, and Auburn dropped to 3-3 on the season, 0-3 in SEC play. And by the way, Auburn has never started 0-3 in SEC play in 3 straight seasons ever before this loss, and now they have under Hugh Freeze. That is as big of an indictment as one can think. I mean, you start winless in the conference every year, 3 straight years, 0-3. Auburn's players saying after the game, the most frustrating part is we're in these games. We have them won, but we just got to find ways to stamp the win. Hugh Freeze saying after the game, I think it's very clear that we find ways to not win football games, and that's what has to change. Of course, Auburn now 0-3 in the SEC. They're close, but close gets you nothing. And you look at Hugh Freeze's numbers now. This is his numbers at Auburn. He is 14-17 overall, 5-14 in SEC play, 7-16 against the Power 4, and 9-9 at home in Jordan-Hare. Hugh Freeze saying, our kids played really hard. This was at halftime. He said, we should be up more. We dominated the first half. There's been more stoppages. That might have been the longest first half ever. We're due a break. Maybe one of these dang times. Well, some thinking that maybe he got so hung up on that play, the goal line play, that he was so flustered by it, and the team was, that they just never recovered. Spent the whole second half going, we should be up 17-0. Well, you got a second half of football to play. And they didn't play. I'm going to slide in here another loser of the weekend. I'm going to put the SEC officials. Look, you had the goal line fumble by Jackson Arnold, and many argued he broke the plane, should have been a touchdown. Even the ESPN announcing crew was in agreement that Arnold was in the end zone before the ball came out. But that's not what the officials ruled. They called it a fumble and a recovery for Georgia. Then a little bit later in the game, with about 13 minutes remaining, Kirby Smart appeared to signal to the officials for timeout as the play clock was winding down. However, Kirby Smart pleaded with officials that no, he was just gesturing for a time. He was not gesturing for a timeout. He was instead clapping. And the Bulldogs subsequently were not charged a timeout. And as Hugh Freeze said after the game, should have had either a delay game there or a timeout. Instead, they got a whole new play. Call ended up being a costly one. I'm sure we'll get some comments from the SEC officiating in the coming days. As look, a lot of fans, it's not just Auburn fans around the conference all looking at this saying, hey, can we get some better officiating, Greg Sankey? Of course, after the fumble at the goal line, Auburn fans yelling, "Refs, you suck," at the start of halftime. Auburn athletic director John Cohen was spotted unloading on the refs. And Hugh Freeze, who chucked his headset 15 yards down the field, he got a healthy piece of referee Ken Williamson. I think this is something Greg Sankey and company are going to have to address. Like the conference officiating is just, it's inconsistent to say the least. And they're missing big calls in big spots. And for Auburn particularly, right? You had the call against the Oklahoma play where the wide receiver acted like he was leaving the field, stayed on the field, and it was a touchdown. SC office came out afterwards and was like, "Yeah, we're sorry about that. Should have been a penalty, but oh well, it was a touchdown and it counted." So you got to think Auburn and John Cohen. I mean, they are going to take this to Greg Sankey in the SEC officiating office and say, "Hey, can we get something fixed here?" I just think it's got to be a big focus again this offseason. I feel like it is every year. We talked to John McDade every year at SEC Media Days. We asked him this year about the throwing the stuff on the field in the Texas-Georgia game that ended up overturning a call, and I just feel like they got to be better. This is the best conference. This is the best football conference in all of college football. You got to have the best officiating. They got to get it right. So, all right, another loser of the weekend. I hate to do this, but I'm putting John Mateer in here. Put Brent Venables in as well. But after watching that game on Saturday, look, hindsight's always 20/20, but I said it during the game. They should have started Michael Hawkins. John Mateer was so off so much of this game. He finished 20 for 38 passing for 202 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 picks. Mateer was sacked 5 times. He had 14 rush attempts for a net of 5 yards rushing. And look, give Texas's defense credit for bringing it, but to me, Mateer was so out of sorts. And like, I can't blame him. The guy just had surgery on the broken bone in his right throwing hand on September 24th. General timeline for recovery is a month. Oklahoma brought him back in just 2.5 weeks. To me, I think this is a little bit, they should have played it safe. They should have played it. Mateer, continue to rehab, continue to recover. And, you know, not just that. I mean, Mateer said after the game, look, the pain level was nothing. Said there's no excuse. Don't blame my hand. He said, I was ready to go physically. Mentally, I just didn't perform. My eyes weren't as good as they need to be. When your quarterback doesn't play good football, it's hard to win in this league, and that's what happened. I also think, like, you know, the guy was out for 2.5 weeks, and you bring him back in the biggest rivalry game ever. Yeah, he's going to be out of sorts. So I don't know. I thought the whole deal was starting Michael Hawkins last week against Kent State was to kind of get his feet under him as a dress rehearsal to get him ready for the Texas game. And who knows? Maybe Michael Hawkins performs just as bad. But to me, I can't look at this and not think, as good as Mateer was to start the year and as bad as he was in this game, just out of sorts. Football off target, just poor decision-making all around. Mateer had the worst start of his college career while failing to produce a touchdown pass or rushing touchdown for the first time in his 17 starts at Oklahoma and Washington State. And Oklahoma failed to score a touchdown in the Cotton Bowl for the 3rd time in 4 years. That's where Brent Venables gets a loser of the weekend. John Mateer, 52% completion rate Saturday, was his lowest of the season, worst since completing 48% of his passes in a win against Fresno State last year. It's 3 interceptions, most he's thrown in a single game, and matched his interception total from his first 4 starts of the season for Oklahoma. They left points out there on the board, questionable end of the first half. And now the hope is Mateer gets himself right for a road trip to South Carolina this Saturday. The last 5 games for Oklahoma are all against ranked teams: Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Mizzou, and LSU. So they better get this thing figured out quick. Another loser of the weekend. I'm going with Eli Drinkwitz. 4th quarter, Mizzou trailing Bama 20-17. They're facing a 4th and 4 from their own 37. Mizzou runs a fake punt. Goes to Jamal Roberts to the short side of the field. He gets just 3 yards. Looked like maybe he might have stretched the ball out. They review it. They confirm he's short. Bama football. Bama then responds, goes the 40 yards for a touchdown to make it a 10-point game with 3:16 to go. I just feel like if they would have opted to punt there, who knows? Maybe they pin Alabama and they keep this thing in a one-score game. I just thought it was a moment that very much was not needed. You were playing well, giving Bama all they could handle, and that play was just a huge momentum shifter for the Tide. And now Bo Perbula, he did get the ball next. After that, they went down the field, scored a touchdown. But you think about it, if they punt there, hold Alabama, they get the ball back, maybe that touchdown drive is a game-winning drive later in the game if you had punted there. So, again, I get it. It's second-guessing in hindsight, but I just thought in that moment, we're all going, what are you doing? Maybe even if it's out midfield, okay, fake punt, but just rough time to run that and it come up short. Kudos to Alabama having a heads up, seeing it coming and making a play. All right, another loser of the weekend. How about the Florida offensive line? Struggled to protect DJ Lagway, gave up 3 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, could not open up any running lanes as the Gators averaged just 3 yards a carry, held to just 74 net rushing yards. And even though Lagway had some early success passing, the Aggies just really clamped down on him. Lagway throwing 16 incomplete passes in this one as he was under duress much of the day. Starting left tackle Austin Barber received a pass blocking grade of 0, according to PFF. Barber's stat line in this one, he gave up 4 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 penalties, 1 hit, 1 hurry. Really struggled against Cassius Howell much of the night as Florida drops to 2-4 on the season, 1-2 in SEC play. Another loser of the weekend, I'm putting LaNorris Sellers in here. Look, it's not Sellers' fault that his offensive line is putrid. They had 3 starters out with injury, but with all the offseason hype, all the discussion when it came to Sellers, it's been disappointing. Against LSU, he was under constant pressure. He had 2 turnovers, 2 intentional grounding passes. He was just 15 of 27 for 124 yards, no touchdown passes, was held to 22 rush attempts for just 19 net rushing yards. Blame the O-line, blame the lack of a run game, blame the lack of big-time receivers. Whatever the case is, LaNorris Sellers is 14th in the SEC in passing yards, 15th in touchdown passes, 12th in completion percentage, and he's been sacked the second most behind Jackson Arnold. And this is for a guy who's being talked about as the first-round pick in the NFL draft next year. To me, I just think he should be having a better statistical season. Our last loser of the weekend, I'm going Lane Kiffin. If you missed this one, Ole Miss was hosting 3-2 Washington State on Saturday. Ole Miss being ranked in the top 5. They were a 31.5-point favorite. Washington State, who lost earlier this season to North Texas and Washington. North Texas, actually, good loss, I guess. But they gave Ole Miss all they could handle, with the Rebels hanging on to pull out the 24-21 victory. And some were saying, oh, maybe they were looking ahead to Georgia. Add to the game, Lane Kiffin saying, I thought our red zone offense showed up like our students section did today. He said, I challenge our fans to show up. Last Saturday was electric here in the stadium and before on the walk. I understand a lot of it's because they hate LSU, but why not show up like that every week? Despite the win, Kiffin's message was clear. We all read our press clippings about being number 4. We looked like we were number 84 today. So, look, we talked to our guy, Stephen Willis from Locked On Ole Miss. He said a lot of the hubbub was that their focus was on Georgia. They were already looking ahead to Georgia. Okay, well, now you got Georgia. Let's see what you look like next weekend. But as far as confidence builder and all that, goodness gracious, not what you wanted out of the Ole Miss Rebels. All right, still more to come here on Locked On SEC. When we return, we will get to our SEC teams in the polls. It's coming your way next. Hey, look, the NFL season is here. Of course, college football as well. FanDuel still got that great offer if you guys have not tried it out yet. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You're going to love how FanDuel gives you so many ways to play. You can build parlays. You can try player props. Follow the live lines. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get your money now. FanDuel.com. This episode also brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Look, most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It is an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's built for people with busy lives who've been putting off organizing your finances. Monarch Money is for you. They're going to do all the heavy lifting. They're going to link all your accounts together in minutes. You'll be able to see clear visuals of everything all in one place without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Go to monarchmoney.com right now. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege. It's going to get you half off your first year. That's 50% off, 50, your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Get your finances together today. All right, final segment here on Locked On SEC. And as we wrap up, let's take a look at the SEC teams in the polls. As we take a look at the AP poll, 10 SEC teams ranked in the top 25. Ohio State 1, Miami 2, Indiana 3. Can't really argue with those top 3. Texas A&M 4, Ole Miss 5, Alabama 6. So 3 SEC teams outside the top 3, but coming in at 4, 5, 6. Georgia coming in at number 9, LSU at number 10. So it's 5 SEC teams in the top 10. Tennessee at number 11. So 6 in the top 11. Oklahoma hanging tough at 14. They didn't ding them too much for the loss to Texas. Mizzou at number 16. They didn't ding them much for the loss to Alabama. Vanderbilt at 17. They were on the bye. Texas at number 21. So Texas jumps back into the rankings in the AP poll. Coaches poll, not a whole lot of different. Ohio State 1, Miami 2, Indiana 3. Texas A&M 4, Ole Miss 5, Alabama 6, Georgia 7, LSU 10, Tennessee 11, Oklahoma 13 in this poll, Missouri 16, Texas 17, Vanderbilt 18. So there you have it. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Thank you guys for checking us out. Remember to check us out on the Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network as well. I'm Chris Gordy. It's been Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.